Yo, what's up, y'all? I kind of want to make a video about like how the cash shop attitude has changed, uh, like in time. Um, so this is coming from someone who's been playing WoW for a really long time, and I've noticed that uh, in other games, and maybe playing other games a lot more, has kind of opened up my eyes to how other people see like the cash shops in their games. And I kind of want to talk about that. So, just a baseline, I want to say that generally I don't like cash shops in games. It depends on the game. If it's a free to play game, I usually don't have too many problems with it, but even there, I kind of don't love it. So let me just give my thoughts on like how I feel about the WoW cash shop. Okay, so in the WoW cash shop, there's items for mounts, like vanity items, mounts. There used to be helms. Now there's like a transmog set. There's pets, things like that. And I don't hate those too much. However, like even without the other stuff that I'm going to talk about here in a second, like the game is entirely too expensive uh, to add that stuff to it as well. I don't think that they have a like. I mean, of course they have a right to do it, but I don't think that there is a compelling reason to justify them being able to have a cash shop with first of all with the prices that they sell these things at, and ask for a subscription, a box price, and generally a higher uh, like wall to pass to even start playing a game than most other MMOs. Uh, so that's kind of how I feel about WoW. Uh, I mean, even if we're not talking about like the token and things like that, um, but I do want to talk about that. So the token itself, I think that the token is just bad. It should never have been added into the game. Because it literally makes the game pay to win, especially in the patches when like people really want to be like crafting and things like that. Like if that crafting is super prevalent and like necessary, yeah, those tokens are going to be more pay to win in on those patches, which basically incentivizes Blizzard to make more patches that will try to build up. Like they're going to send out patches that have a lot of crafting stuff, crafting resources. These things, like look at the legendaries in Shadowlands. That like people are buying tokens for every one of their legendaries because it's expensive as shit, and they knew it was going to be. Uh, so I think that's a huge problem, especially for WoW. Uh, and I think that's probably the biggest difference between WoW and the other game I'm going to talk about in a second. Um, yeah, there's. I also do not like the services that WoW like sells, or more specifically, I don't like the prices at which that they try to sell. Uh, so, for instance, like if I go if I want to like transfer my character, it's like $25 fucking to transfer your character, which is ridiculous. Because first of all, we should be able to put like raid cross realm. That should be like automatically, like off the bat. You should be able to mythic raid cross realm off of the bat. That like you should be able to have cross realm guilds. Cross realm should be you either go straight into it or you don't have it at all. That's how I feel. Uh, Obviously, the classic people probably don't want to have it at all, but you know, it is what it is. So, yeah, that's kind of how I feel about the World of Warcraft stuff. And obviously, I think that them adding uh, like microtransactions to the Burning Crusade is pretty bad. I really hate it. Like actually it's just unacceptable. I think anybody who thought that that was okay, they should get fired. I'm not. I think they're incompetent, and like you pretty much killed the game. I've heard people with copium with like, oh, the game's not dead. The game is dead. Like, compared to what it could have been if they didn't do all these shenanigans, you know, the game would have been way more successful. But you know, it is what it is. We can't really do anything about it now. I kind of have a hope that because they're going to be doing the classic fresh, if they're going to do the TBC fresh, they should launch it without any of this stuff in, and even think about like adding TBC to being like TBC Plus, because TBC Plus would probably be better than Classic Plus. But I'm getting off topic. All right. So the other game that I really have a lot of time playing is Final Fantasy. And I want to bring up the fact that, you know, Final Fantasy, it has a lot of items on the Mog Station. And, you know, I don't agree with all this much, because I think that Final Fantasy has just as much of a barrier to entry as WoW, if not more. But they go on sale quite a lot. I mean, so does WoW. So it's pretty much it's pretty similar. That said, though, they don't sell anything that I would say is like pay to win in the same way. Okay, they do sell stuff that I disagree with, like main scenario progression and one hero's journey. Don't like that. I think it's not good. However, everything else, you know, I don't like it, but if this is all they would have, I probably wouldn't care about the cash shop in Final Fantasy. Okay, so that said, I think the reason that people are more willing to accept the cash shop in Final Fantasy is because the game itself is not built in an adversarial way. I mean, in comparison with like WoW, or I mean, there's not any other game that I can really think of that does that. But WoW does it, and I think WoW is pretty much like the forerunner for the whole MMO genre. So it kind of creates a bad leader to be playing follow the leader with. So I really think that Final Fantasy does a great. I mean, the stuff in here is expensive. I'm not gonna lie, it's too expensive. But it's about the same price as WoW, and the boosts are cheaper than WoW. So I mean, I don't know how that makes me feel. Makes me feel kind of shitty. I'm not gonna lie. Wish WoW was more thoughtful on what they're doing, but I'm gonna move on from that. Then I want to talk about like other games like ESO, obviously Black Desert. ESO and Black Desert, I would say that ESO is. There are things in there that are pay to win. However, I would say that pay to win is not really progression in that game. It's more about like the houses you can buy are really cool, but you can really only get the best houses by buying them, I'm pretty sure. But I think they kind of make it more of a like a subscription reward, or like loyalty reward, because if you stay subscribed, you can get anything on there. I think that's really what they're going for. I don't think anybody really wants to buy outright the most expensive house, because the most expensive houses are like $200 and shit. It's crazy. But, you know, people will pay their subscription get all their extras. They get a lot of bonuses in there, and I think I think that system there pretty good. I don't hate it. I think the reason why the prices are so high is because they want you to stay subscribed. They're trying to incentivize subscription. I don't agree with it, but I could see how it works. Uh, BDO though, BDO and other kind of like Asian games, Korean games. Yeah, there's a lot of problems with those. Mostly it's just the pay to win. Once it gets to pay to win, I really don't like it. And I'm specifically talking about pay to win, like buy power. Buying power is pretty much the only kind of pay to win that I really dislike because it gives you an unfair advantage in your performance. Whereas other things are like, I mean, you could say unfair advantage in your like housing, I guess, if you're like doing housing competitions or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, I think in general, the biggest reason why people don't hate cash shops as much in other games as they do in like WoW, I think people do hate the cash shop in BDO at least a little bit. I've heard that before. However, I think the reason why is just those games are not created in a way that's like adversarial, generally, and people feel that they can trust more their developers than like if they're gonna put money into this store, it's gonna go into making the game better. Whereas with WoW, you put the money in there, it's going to some like arbitrary kind of fund or something like that. It's not going to better your experience. Not even a little bit is. That's how it feels because that's just how I feel about it, and I think that it's a common sentiment shared amongst MMO players. But there you go. I think that's pretty much all I got to say about that. If you agree, go ahead and tell me in the comments. Like the video if you liked it, dislike it if you disliked it, and subscribe. Follow me on Twitch. Peace.